Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Ashok. This video is the part of Apex Fundamentals series, where in previous video we have discussed about data types and covered all the available data types in Apex. And today in this video we will discuss about list, and we will try to learn all the possible use cases with practical examples. So first let's start with the definition of list. Alright, so as we have discussed in previous video, lists are the ordered collection of elements that can contain duplicate values as well. It means if you want to store multiple values in single container, and values should be stored in the same order in which we have added, and also values can be duplicate. For example, let's say we want to store marks of a student, and marks values can be duplicate. I mean, in 2 or more subjects a student can get same marks. So to store marks, we have declared a list with integer data type, because marks value will be number, and have added marks values here. And now once we'll run this code, then it will store these values in memory like this. So as definition says, list is the ordered collection. It means in memory values will add in same order in which we have assigned. Like first we have assigned 88, then 90, 75, 80, 80 and 56. So in memory also it will store these values in same order, and will assign a unique identifier to each element or value that always start with 0 and called index. So in later part of program, if you want to access or get any of these values, then with the help of index number we can easily get it. For example, let's say if you want to get this 90, then we just need to write name of list and index value in square brackets. So in this case our list name is marks, and want to get 90, so index value will be 1, because index always start with 0 and with n-1. Means here we have total 6 items, but index of last item is 5. And you can see here it also contains duplicate values, like 80 is twice here, right? So I hope you got the definition of list and how it is stored in memory. And now let's see how to create new list in Apex. So this is the syntax to create list in Apex, where first we need to write list, then in angel brackets we need to provide data type, like what kind of values we want to store in this list. For example, integer, string, boolean, as object, or we can say any kind of data type we can use here. And after that we need to provide list name, whatever you want to call it. So this is how we can declare a list in Apex. But now if you run this code, then value of this variable will be null, because as of now we have not initialized this list and memory is not assigned, so we won't be able to add or remove any item in this list. So to allocate memory to any non-primitive data type, we have to initialize them using new keyword like this. Now once we will run this code, then list will have existence in memory, so we can perform all the operations to add or remove items. Alright, now let's see some examples how to declare a list in Apex with different data types. So with the same syntax, first we have created a marks list with integer data type, and created names list with string data type, and similarly created context list to hold contact as object data. And this is the example of 2-dimensional list. I mean, we can also have list type as data type. Okay. And now let's open our developer console and practically see how to declare and use a list in Apex. Now I'm in my developer console, and here let's open execute anonymous window. And here, for example, let's declare a list to store marks. Okay. So as we have seen, if you want to declare a list, then first we need to write list, and after that we need to write data type in angel brackets, and then we need to write name of list. So in our case it is marks. And for memory allocation or to initialize this list, we have to write new, then list and data type. Okay. So this is how we can declare a list in Apex with any kind of data type. Alright. So as of now this list is blank. I mean, it doesn't contain any item. So to verify this, let's print this list using system.debug method. And now let's run this code by clicking on this execute button. And check this debug only checkbox. Okay. Now nothing is here. It means list is blank. So with this piece of code, we can declare and initialize the list. So now let's see how we can add items in this list. And in Apex, if we want to add items in list, then there are various ways we have. So let's see them one by one. So first way we have using list constructor. While initializing the list, if we know which all items should be added in list, then at the same time, we can also add items like this. Here instead of simple braces, we will use curly braces, and under these curly braces, we can pass multiple values after comma. Whatever values or items we want to add initially, those we can pass here comma separated. So at the time of list declaration, if we already know what all items we will add this in list, then we can go with this approach and we can initialize and add items in single statement. Okay. Now let's run this code by clicking on execute button. Alright, now we can see two items here which we have added while initialization. So in case if we have a requirement where we know about list items during initialization, then we should use this approach. But now let's say we want to add more items after list initialization, or let's say while initialization, we don't know what all items will be added, or items may be added conditionally. So in this case, if you want to add items in list, then generally we can use list add method. So in case if you have already initialized the list and now want to add more items, then add method can help us. For example, let's say after initialization, here we want to add marks for another subject in marks list. Then first we need to write list name, which is marks in our case. Then dot add, and here we will pass item value as parameter. So let's pass 80 here. And similarly, if you want to add few more items or marks for more subjects, then we can add in same way, like okay. And now let's run this code by clicking on execute button and see list values in debug log. Alright, now we can see 5 values here, which means with the help of add method, we can add more items in list one by one, and by default new item will add at the end of list. Like this 89 is added after 81, right? But now let's say we have a requirement to add new item at a specific position, not after last item. For example, let's say we want to add one more item right after this 80. Then in such kind of situations, we can use another version of add method, in which first we need to pass index where we want to add new item, and after that we need to pass item value. So in our case, we want to add new item after 80, which means on index 3. So let's write code for the same. Okay, so in list, if you want to add new item at a specific position, then in add method, first we need to provide index value, which is 3 in our case, because we want to add new item after 80. So index will be 3, and item value we will pass as a second parameter, that is 90 in our case. And now let's run this code and see new value in debug logs. Alright, now you can see 90 right after 80, which means we have added new item at a specific position, right? So this is how we have two versions of list add method in Apex. One will add new value at the end of list, and another version can help us to add new item at a specific index. Okay, but add method can help us to add only one item at a time, or we can say using add method we can add items one by one, right? So if you have a requirement where you want to add multiple items at once, or let's say you want to add items for another list or set, then we can use addAll method. So let's see this practically. And here first let's declare another list and store few items. And now let's say you want to add these all items in existing marks array, then we can use addAll method and pass another list as input. Okay, now let's run this code and see what it will print in logs. Alright, now we can see another array items in marks array. It means multiple items added using addAll method, right? So this is how we can add items in list in multiple ways. So as of now we have learned what is list, how to declare and initialize the list, and how to add items or values in list, right? And now let's learn how to get those values from list to use in further program. For example, let's say we want to get these marks values to calculate total or maybe for any other purpose. So now let's see how to get and use list values in Apex. And to get values, again here we have multiple ways. So let's start with first and very basic way, that is using index. So as we have already discussed, like in list, each and every item has a unique index assigned. So if you want to get value of any particular position, then we can get value using index. For example, let's say you want to get whatever first value is stored in this list, then what we need to do, we need to write list name, and in a square bracket need to pass index value, that will be 0 for first item. Okay, now let's print this in debug logs and run. Alright, now we can see 89 here, which is available at first position in our list. So this is how we can get list items using particular index. And now let's discuss another way, which is using get method. So get method also works like index. I mean, here also we need to pass index value as input parameter. For example, let's say we want to get value of third index, then we have to write marks, then get, then 3 as input parameter. And let's print this in debug logs. Alright, now we can see 90 here, which is the fourth item in our list and available at third index, right? So we can say get method is similar to index, because using this also we can get only one value from a specific index. And now let's work on a practical use case to understand list get operations better. So let's say we got a requirement to calculate all the available marks in this list. Then how you will approach this requirement? So obviously first we will declare a total marks integer variable to hold calculated total, and then we have to write code to get marks for all the subjects and use formula to calculate total. So first let me write the code, then I will explain it to you. Okay, so as discussed, first we have declared a total marks integer variable, and after that we have written code to get marks value for each index. Like in this marks list, we have stored marks for add subjects. So here we are getting marks for first subject using index 0, then for second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth and seventh, and use sum operator. So we will get total of all these marks values and stored in total marks variable. And finally we are printing this total marks value into logs. So now let's execute this code. Alright, now we can see total marks value here. So this is how we can get and use list values using index. But with this approach we have few problems. Like as of now we are working with only 8 items, but let's say we have lots of items in a list, like 50 items, then we have to write the same code for 50 times. So our code will look messy, or maybe in future if we add or remove items from list, then we have to make changes in our formula as well. And mostly in real-time applications we used to add list items conditionally or dynamically. So while writing code we generally don't know what all items will be there in list, because items will add at runtime. So in that case we can't directly write code to get values using static index like we have written for index 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on, right? So if we have a requirement where we want to get or iterate all the available list items, then we have to use for loop in this case. Though loops we have not covered till now, we'll cover them in future in a separate detailed video. But as of now, let's see at high level how to get and iterate list item values in Apex using for loop, and we can also call it for each loop because it iterates all the available items. So let's implement the same requirement using loop. Okay, so we have used for loop here, and now it will iterate all the available items, and in this item integer variable we will get value of current iteration. I mean, first time we will get value of 0th index, then for first, second, third, I think fourth we have missed here, but yeah, that's fine. I mean, for loop will iterate through all the items and will store some into total marks. And now let's run this code and see output. All right, now we can see 614 here because previously we forgot to add 4th index, but now we have correct total. And now with the help of for loop, we made our code dynamic because the same code can work for n number of items. I mean, if we'll add new item in this list, then in previous concept, we need to add that item over here as well in formula. But with for loop, it will automatically iterate through that item. Okay, so this is how we can get and use list items in Apex. And now let's see how we can update values in list. Sometimes we have to update values in list at a specific position. So in that case, we can update values using index. So let's say we want to store 85 instead of 75 at first index. Then simply we can write marks, then first index, then 85. And let's print this list again. All right, now we can see 85 here at first index instead of 75. Okay, so this is how we can update values in list. And now let's see how to delete or remove values from list. So if you want to remove values from list, then in Apex we have two methods. First is remove. So if you want to remove a single value, then we will use this remove method. For example, let's say we want to remove this 80 value, which is on second index. Then we will write code like this: marks.remove and index, that is 3, and print this list again. Okay, now we can't see 90 here in last debug log, which means item has been deleted now. So we can say remove method can help us to remove single value, and another method we have clear. So if we want to remove all the available items from list, then clear method can help us. So let's try it. All right, now we can't see anything here, which means all the available items removed from the list. So in nutshell, if you want to remove items from list, then we have two methods, remove and clear. And remove will delete only one item at a specified index, and clear will remove all the items from list. Okay, so this is how we have seen mostly used methods in list to get, add, update or remove items, and these methods are important and generally used in day-to-day programming. And now collectively see all important list methods again. Then first we have add method, which we have already seen. Like this is used to add new item in list. And as we have discussed, we have two versions of add method. So if you want to add new item at a specific position, then first we need to pass index value, then list item. And if you want to add multiple items from list or set, then we can use addAll method. And get method will help us to get item from a particular index. And if you want to remove a single item, then we will use remove method. And clear method will remove all the available items from list. And size method will return number of elements in the list. I mean how many elements we have in the list. So in our case we had at. So this method will return at in our case. And next we have isEmpty method, which will return true if we have 0 elements in our list and false if we have at least one item. And toString will convert and return list items into comma separated string. And clone method can help us to make duplicate copy of a list. So if we have a requirement where we want to make duplicate copy of a list, then we can use clone method. Okay, so we have discussed all the important list methods. So now I hope you have fair idea about list and their methods. And now I would recommend you to do hands-on practice of all these methods in your developer console, so you can understand them more clearly and can use them in your future projects. So that's it in this video, where we have discussed about list and their methods with practical examples. And now if you have any questions or query, then do let me know in the comments. And also don't forget to like and subscribe my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in next video.